Welcome to Two Steps, a podcast where we step back and let God step in. What's up, baby?
Hey.
It's round 4.
Yeah, we in there now. We in the game.
Yeah.
We in there.
We in the game.
We in the game.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Today is Sunday.
Today is Sunday.
Went to church today. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. How you feel about church today?
It was great.
It was good?
Yeah.
What you learned today?
Well, I learned from 2 different perspectives.
Okay.
Working with the kids, the importance of building relationships with individual children and not just the class as a whole. And being able to identify them for who they are and not the class as a whole.
Yeah.
From service, the importance of your own relationship and understanding the power and the gifts that you have as an individual, not relying on everybody else's gifts.
Yeah.
To build a relationship.
Yeah,
what about
good.
you?
I think I learned, like, because we talked a little bit about like perspective and stuff. I think I learned that self-interpretation is good to interpret things on your own rather than just go off of somebody else's basis. Find your own basis, but not saying like don't take what they what they said, but like take what they said and then go figure it out on your own. Go find your own source.
Yeah.
Go to the Bible and do your own readings, get your own perspective. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I feel like that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with is like, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying, is a lot of people like rely on other people's relationship with God to be their foundation. And I know growing up, it's like my grandma, my mom, they had their own relationship and their prayers worked.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, I knew who God was, but it wasn't until I was an adult to understand like, I have to build this relationship with him. It's not something that I can let somebody else do for me for the rest of my life.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's good.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Church was amazing. Today, we're going to talk about forgiveness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Heavy load.
Yeah, not just forgiveness, but forgiveness in relationships and marriage and even
forgiveness in general. Because, forgiveness is probably one of the most important things that you will ever have to experience in life. Because in the Bible, it talks about, like, if you do not forgive, then God won't forgive you. And I think, like, that's a hard thing. Like, all the other sins that he talked about in the Bible, that's the one thing that he's like, if you don't forgive, then I won't forgive you.
I won't forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to touch bases a little bit on our understanding of forgiveness.
Okay.
Our interpretation of forgiveness.
Okay. Let's go.
Just how we feel about it. I think forgiveness to me is easy. Forgiving someone is easy. I think the emotion that comes with it is hard.
Explain.
So, like, I can forgive you, but I still feel some type of way. Like, it's easy, like, and I know a lot of people is going to say, like, or even you probably going to say, how can you forgive somebody you still have emotion attached to it? But it's just like, I feel like you can definitely forgive somebody, but still feel like wronged in a way.
But do you truly forgive them?
Yeah,
Or
I feel
is
like
that just a way of you trying to get over it?
Well, because when I think of like forgive and forget, right? I can forgive you, but I'm not going to forget it, and it's still going to strike up some type of emotion in me. Whether it's happy, sad, mad, whatever, it's going to strike some type of emotion. I think when we say like forgive and forget, I think people put like it only can be like a sad or mad thing, but it can be a happy thing at the end of the day because now you're like, you turned it, it's perspective, you turned it into a happy thing. It's like, oh, I'm glad that so-and-so happened. I forgive them, but I'm glad it happened that way. I think it's just all like depending on how you look at it.
But when you say that there's still an emotion attached, for me, I don't feel like I've truly forgiven somebody until I don't feel the way that I felt when they wronged me or when whatever took place. Like, when I forgive, and one thing that I learned about me is like, I can say that I forgive you. Well, when I was younger, I would be like, I forgive them, and then it still bothers me. And I knew that I wasn't truly forgiving in that moment. it was just like, I want to get past how I feel right now, so I'm just going to let it go.
Right.
And I think that there's a difference between letting something go and actually forgiving someone.
Yeah.
So like for me, in order to truly forgive, I have to take all the flesh and emotions that come with it too, and just like completely deal with it, take it to God, purify my heart, and then let it go.
Right.
But I think that that's the thing that forgiveness does. It purifies your thoughts and your heart towards whatever the situation may be. So I don't believe that you can truly forgive someone and still feel the way that you felt when you didn't forgive them.
Yeah. I do too, but not in the sense of like, not all the way. Cause I feel like I can forgive somebody and then like I forgive them, have a natural conversation, don't feel no type of way to them. I think the only time I like when it comes to me is if like, of course, well, obviously it's everybody, but when reoccurring actions show up, and then that's when it kind of like triggers like back into that thing. But like going like every day though, it's like,
yeah, but that's where boundaries come into place, because just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that you have to put them back in the same position that they were in when they hurt you. So like, let's take friendships for an example. Like, if you were friends with someone for a very long time and then betrayal took place, in that moment, how you felt in that moment is something that you're not gonna like, you don't want to ever feel again. So if you decide to forgive them, nobody says they have to be your best friend. You can still be cool with them, but to make the decision to put somebody on the same level that they were on before forgiveness took place, that's where your boundary is. But if you don't set a boundary to where it no longer affects you, then you leave that door open for the continuous situation to reoccur.
Right.
And I think that that's where like being able to identify when to forgive like how you forgive someone doesn't mean that they have to remain in the same position in your life.
right. So you can forgive somebody, but you can't see the measure. So is that still forgiving them? Like if you don't put them as the same status as they were before?
I think so.
But people make mistakes.
And I'm not saying that people don't.
No, right. I'm just saying like people make mistakes.
But it's all development. So it's like if I am in a place in my life and we just don't see eye to eye and a situation occurs, and this is outside of marriage, obviously, but a situation occurs and it's just kind of like, okay, well, you've shown me who you are and where you are in your journey, and that's cool. I forgive you, and moving forward, I can't keep people that I've outgrown in the same positions. I feel like if I'm here and you are where I used to be, you can't go where I am, because then there's a version of you only know the old version of me. You don't know this version of me. So there's going to be like this ceiling and this roof that's stopping me from expounding on who I truly am.
Yeah.
So I think that that's it. But what about in marriage? Like forgiveness in marriage?
I mean, forgiveness in marriage is different, I feel like, because we've been blessed to witness forgiveness in marriage and in outside of marriage too.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think forgiveness in marriage is a little more lenient, because it's like, well, I ain't gonna say lenient. It's definitely not lenient, but it's more so like no choice. You have to forgive each other. If you really honor and respect each other, like forgiveness in marriage is like, no matter what you do.
Yeah, but I think that that's what makes it harder.
No, it definitely makes it harder, but it's just like no matter what one of us do, and we don't want a divorce, like that's not the question.
Right.
So it's just like forgiveness is the only option. Not saying it's gonna happen overnight. It's definitely gonna take time.
Yeah.
But it's like forgiveness is like mandatory.
Yeah, I think like when it comes to a marriage, forgiveness is a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if you forgive somebody and then the action reoccurs in a marriage, you can't just be like, you know what, I'm done. Like, you can't.
I mean, you can, but
yeah, but in our marriage,
not.
we can't.
Right.
So
we're not.
It's a continuous thing that you have to do. But I think that one thing that I've learned about forgiveness, especially in a marriage, is you not only have to forgive your partner, but you have to forgive yourself, because there's a lot that comes with forgiveness. A lot of times the enemy will make you feel like this sense of guilt, or what did I do, or question somebody else's actions that really have nothing to do with you.
Right.
And then it'll internalize how you feel about your, like, it'll shift the perspective to you on yourself when it had nothing to do with you.
Right.
And in a marriage, I feel like if forgiveness is constantly taking place, there's a surrendering that happens to God, where it's like, you know what, God, I'm going through this thing, and I'm forgiving my partner, and I'm still feeling the emotions that attach to the unforgiveness. So remove these feelings out of my heart so that I can love him to the fullness of our marriage.
So forgiveness can't come without submitting to an authority.
Yeah, to God.
To God. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I felt not true forgiveness.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
honest, not just saying like I forgive you, but true forgiveness, not only in your mouth but in your heart.
Yeah.
Has to come from submitting to God.
Right.
Like, literally giving it to him.
Surrendering. Yeah, like laying it at his feet. And I can recall, like, literally 2023?
I don't know.
2024. 2024, y'all.
Oh, this year.
I mean, not 20.
Last year.
Dang, run it back. 2022.
Oh.
When I thought I knew what forgiveness was, but 2022 was when I experienced what true forgiveness was.
Right.
And I knew that my heart was shifting, because I like when you hold unforgiveness in your heart, it hardens it completely.
Right.
And I've never been a person with a hardened heart. So when I started to feel my heart was hardening, I literally prayed. I'm like, God, I don't like this feeling.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know what it is, and I don't like it. And he revealed to me that you're holding on to unforgiveness, and you need to forgive. And I'm like, Lord, remove any emotions, anything that's attached to this unforgiveness, because I don't want it. Mm-hmm. If this is what this feels like, I don't want it. I want to forgive. I want to love, because I know that people make mistakes, and even if it wasn't a mistake and it was intentional, that it has nothing to do with the way that I view them. Like, and then God used me as an example. He was just like, how many times have you made a mistake and you asked for forgiveness? And I can count on hands, toes, everything. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, what if I hardened my heart after a certain amount of times that you did the same thing over and over, or countless different things that you did, and then asked for forgiveness, and then when it came to a certain point, I'm just like, you know what, I'm tired of forgiving you. It's the same thing over and over. I'm just like, oh God, you're right. Mm-hmm. So if I have to forgive people over and over every day, then that's what I need to do, because you do it to us. Right. And the ultimate goal for me is to be a reflection of God. Right. So it's like, who am I to hold on to people's wrongs and choose to not forgive when I'm asking God to forgive me?
Right.
So I definitely know for sure surrendering unto God is a part of forgiveness.
So, and the second part will be having
acknowledging. I think part one is acknowledging that unforgiveness is there.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to say, yeah.
And then part two is surrendering to God. And then part three is being obedient to actually take the necessary steps to forgive. Yeah, because God can tell you that you need to forgive, but if you don't take the actions in the physical,
right,
then it's like, okay, you just went to God on your behalf and did nothing with what he told you to do.
Yeah. I think when people look at unforgiveness, I think people, and me too, I think we forget that, like, we have to put our pride aside to forgive.
Yeah.
Because we can, like, you can't forgive someone and be prideful at the same time. It doesn't work like that. Like, you got to literally die to your pride and forgive people, because people don't know, but forgiving people actually come with a sense of humility. Like you have to be humble to forgive people. You can't be arrogant. You can't be like uppity, sedity. You can't be like, nah, forget you. Like this. Like you can't walk with that type of mentality because you're really not going to forgive. And like you said, God is not going to forgive you. Like you're not going to be able to walk in all of your fullness if you can't even forgive people at their lowest.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a sense of like humility, pride. I mean, not die to pride. You have to have a sense of humility. You have to have a sense of understanding from both sides. You have to understand the other person's side in order to forgive them because you're forgiving them just off of your own understanding. Like, I know when I'm saying understand is like you have not saying you don't have to be in agreement with. You don't have to agree with what they're doing or what they did to you, but you do have to understand why you're forgiving them and what was like. Okay, I'm forgiving you, but like you can like people forgive people just because the Bible says so. But I feel like if you get like an understanding of like, okay, let me sit down and see what they actually did to me. I'm going to forgive them, but I need to sit down and see what they actually did me to understand why would they do that. Like what was the understanding? Not saying and I just feel like it comes with, I forgive you, but I need to understand in my mind, in my own interpretation, what did you do to me? So I can understand, like, I'm forgiving you for this. Not just because. Like, I'm going to forgive you, but I need to understand what is it that God wants me to forgive you for? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like you got something to say.
I'm trying to process my thoughts.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to forgiveness, in a sense, I feel like understanding the other person's perspective will only be so much. Like, you won't, unless the conversation is held, you won't truly understand the opposite perspective on why they did what they did or how it took place. You're only still going to be viewing it from your one perspective unless a conversation is held.
Right. Well, when I think I was just kind of bringing it up that you need to understand. Not saying just understand by yourself. Like not just try to get it without talking to them. Of course,
but
like converse.
Sometimes it's not needed to me.
Well, how can you truly forgive someone if you don't understand what they did to you?
No, I'm like saying why they did what they did.
Right. Well, yeah, why they did what they did. Like if you don't get it from the mouth of the person.
Sometimes I don't need to know why they did what they did. I know what the feeling did, and why they did it is, I feel like for me, that's up to them to deal with.
But do you really understand like what you're feeling from it then?
I know what I'm feeling from what they did, not why they did it. So it's their why is the thought before their action. But their action is what affected me, not their why.
But you don't want to know the why?
In some certain situations, no.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to. Because just like the action was already done. So I'm hurt by the action. So if I can process what the action was and I can surrender that and to my forgiveness, who cares on why you did it?
I mean, I care why you did it.
But I'm saying that's my thought process. Yeah. In certain situations, I mean, I don't want to know why people do everything that they do. Because like you said, just because I know doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with it. So at this point, as long as the action is clear on what took place and I can process the action and how that made me feel and why it made me feel that way, then it'll be easy for me to forgive.
Yeah.
But it's like, now I can't control why people do what they do, but I can control how what they do affects me.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe like possibly control how you react to it. Is that what you're saying, or how you like?
That's what I'm saying.
How you handle the situation,
right? So like whatever if you decide to
Step on your toe.
Step on my toe. I don't know why you stepped on my toe, but it hurt when you stepped on my toe. But I can either break down crying, or I could be like, "Oh, that hurts a little bit," you know. And then it's like you say sorry. When you say sorry, I could be like, you know what, it's okay.
So
Or I can hold on to
I'm gonna
it.
give. We literally just went through this
Yeah.
the other day. So y'all, I be having
Threw me
it.
off the bed.
Whoa, wait a minute. Let's give context. Don't just talk about I threw you off the bed. That is not what happened. Why would you set it up like that?
Okay. Go.
You trying to get me, let all your foes attack me. That is not what happened.
Yeah, one knock at the door. That's all we need.
That is not what happened. So what happened?
He want to kill me
Right.
so bad.
So what happened, y'all, was we were talking about something. I forgot what we were discussing. I forgot what we were talking about. Oh,
We were talking
the
about
Black History Month thing.
Yeah.
People doing videos of knocking,
and knocking
other races out of the
out of
camera
the
and
way.
then do it. Yeah. So I was doing it because I'm darker and she's lighter.
He's
So I was
making a joke.
and I was
talking about
playing.
I'm not black.
Yeah, so I was playing as if you weren't my skin complexion, my pigmentation. So I pushed her, but I didn't know I pushed you that hard. So
Well,
what happened was,
You didn't push me hard.
oh, well, you made it seem like I pushed you
No.
hard.
I was standing at an angle on the edge of the bed, you guys. And so I wasn't expecting for him to do what we just watched in the video. So when he did it, it knocked my balance off. And I tried to catch myself on the bed, but my hand missed the bed and I ended up falling on the floor. So it wasn't that, it wasn't that you pushed me hard.
Yeah.
It was just the way that I tried to catch myself wasn't effective.
Yeah.
And I fell to the ground, y'all. Part of me wanted to laugh and part of me wanted to cry. And the part of me that wanted to cry took over because my back was in shock. I don't think it was hurting like extremely. It was just like I was more scared than I was like, oh, it just hurts. Like, no.
Yeah.
Because I was really trying to catch myself. I
I know
like,
you would, but the thing is, I didn't expect you to slip
it was so
off
slow.
Of the bed.
The fall was so slow.
It was like, ah.
Okay, it wasn't that slow, but I definitely fell back and was trying to catch myself. It's like I was falling from so high, but I
Right,
really wasn't.
yeah.
I ain't that tall.
Y'all, I was so terrified. I was like, oh no.
I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But that goes back to what you were saying.
What?
You know that it wasn't purposely done, so it's easy to forgive.
I mean, it was gonna be easy to forgive anyway.
You push me like that, I'm just playing.
Let's see. Wait, no.
No.
I gotcha.
Yeah, nah.
But no, I mean, I feel like definitely in a marriage, that goes back. So in a marriage, it's a constant forgiveness that takes place. Because I know that NyKe's heart is pure, a lot of the times when he does things, it don't really bother me as much as it probably would someone outside of our marriage because I know you and I know your heart. So whether your actions align with your heart, I feel like God has allowed me to see who you are spiritually more than who you are in the flesh. And sometimes your actions, I be like, oh God, check them before I do.
Because a lot of my stuff be intrusive.
Well,
I have a lot of intrusive thoughts that just...
And not even, I don't think they're just intrusive thoughts. I feel like a lot of times because you experience ADHD, I feel like your actions are at 100 and your thought process catches up after your actions. And it just be like, sir. And then 2 days later, you come back and realize what just took place. And it's like, I think that's one thing that I struggle with in the beginning of our relationship. It's like identifying that you really, a lot of times aren't aware of what you do until later on.
Right.
And I mean, you are aware, but you're not thinking about it in the moment.
Right.
And for me, I don't think that way. Like before I make an action, we was just talking about this with my mama, but I think about every possible outcome that may come from that. So if I'm walking into this room, I'm thinking about what if some such and such here, like what if I gotta do this, what if I gotta do that. Like I'm thinking about all the different things that could possibly happen, and your mind is just literally on that one thing.
The one thing that's in front of me.
Yeah, and nothing is wrong with that, but I definitely feel like that's what helps our marriage a lot, because I am one to prepare for everything. Not saying that I want it to go wrong, but it's just like, I feel like if you always have a plan, then it's going to be so much easier to adapt or adjust to whatever the situation may be. But if you go in with a one-track mind on like, this is going to happen and this is going to be such and such, then you are blinded to whatever else is coming. Like you walking into that door with no other thoughts. So when you're placed, especially with you, when you're placed in a situation that was unexpected, your mind literally panics. And it's like somebody has to be to the point where it's like, it's okay, let's do this. Come on. And be able to move and operate faster.
I think it's because for me, I think I appreciate things at face value. Mm-hmm. Like whatever's in front of me, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But like if whatever's in front of me, I handle that. Mm-hmm. And I just spend my time on that because that's what's in front of me. Like, it's hard for me to come up with a plan B, plan C, plan D, because like, plan A gonna work. And we gonna appreciate, we gonna put all our on to plan A, and then if plan A don't work, okay, well, I don't never have a plan B, so we just come up with another plan A, which is plan B. But it's not really plan B.
That becomes your focus.
That becomes my focus, yeah.
And see, I agree. Like I never really have other plans. But what happens is I don't just say, oh, we're going to drive to Quick Trip and be there at 2:00. No, my mind is like, okay, if we leave the house at 1:45, we can get to Quick Trip by 2:00. With spare time. So if there's red lights at every single red light, then that's what it is. If there's traffic, we can still get around because Quick Trip is only 6 minutes away. So we know we'll make it there by 2:00. That's how my thought process is. So it's still on the same plan, but I'm thinking about all the other obstacles that may come while we're still walking the same path.
Not me.
And not you.
If Quick Trip is 15 minutes away, I don't care about nothing.
15 minutes.
We leaving.
15. And we might leave like 13 because then you're going to push it a little bit.
We're going to make it there in before the 15 mark.
Right. But no, I definitely feel like that plays a huge role.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for the growth of our marriage because I know we've already grown a lot, but I feel like God is truly shifting us individually for our marriage. And our perspectives have always been different on a lot of stuff, but now it's like different in a sense to where it merges to make sense.
Yeah.
Instead of it being different to where it causes conflict.
Yeah.
So.
I'm excited for it too because it's like we go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like everything that I struggle with,
I'm good at.
and then vice versa. So
right.
It's just like it just makes sense for it to like. It has no choice but to work because we're constantly growing individually.
Yeah.
And then we're working on our individual strengths and trying to like tap into our weaknesses too.
Yeah.
To try to build those up. So it's just like, it's going to where ain't got no choice.
Yeah, ain't got no choice. But I think the most important thing is we both decided to build our personal relationships with God prior to.
Right.
And now in our marriage, it's like, just like siblings, like... You know, you're having a problem with your sibling, who you go to? Your mom or your dad to tell them like, hey, NyKe keeps messing with me after you already tried to handle the situation. Then you go to a higher authority to calm the situation. So I think in a marriage, it's like, hey, I've been trying to figure this out and we keep bumping head to head. So God, either use me and give me the words and how to deliver how I'm feeling to him to where he can be receptive, or you're going to have to fix him because there's nothing I can do. But it's just like taking it to God so that way he's always the center of our marriage. So it's never a me against you. It's
Right.
like, we gonna work this out together, and if we can't get it together, then God, you handle this.
Right. But I don't think we should ever get to the point to where if we can't, we should just always be us three handling it.
No,
at
for
one
sure.
point.
But I'm saying there's moments
Yeah.
where we have conflict or miscommunication to where we're not able to communicate effectively immediately.
Right.
And when we do put a pin in it, because that's been something that we've been doing lately.
Trying to implement.
Putting a pin in it when we're not seeing eye to eye, or not even seeing eye to eye, because I don't truly feel like in every situation you're going to get to an eye to eye point, but there's always a meet in the middle. And when we're not able to get to that point because we are not truly able to communicate how we feel, then that put a pin in it allows that moment to be like, okay, God, I want me and my husband to communicate better. So am I missing something that he's telling me? Or like I just go talk to God in my quiet time where we put a pin in it. We literally leave the room and go into our separate spaces and do whatever we need to do so that when we do come back, we have a clear mind. And it's not like I want you to understand me.
Yeah.
It's more so, hey, babe, this is the problem that we're struggling with. How do we get to a place to where we both understand where we are and where we need to work to get to?
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that has helped a lot.
No, it has. For sure. I think for me, it's like a lot of times when we go through something and then we separate to bring it back. Step. Oh, sorry. That's what he said in the song.
Go ahead.
And we separate just to come back and bring it back. It's just like I go and do something that I try to go and do something that, like, for example, if we're going through something and we put a pin in it, I'll probably play the game. And if I lose, I'll be like, that my focus will now be on me losing. It ain't even on me. So it'll be making it more easier for me to come to you and be like, hey, baby, you good? I love you, girl. We good now?
Get out.
But in the midst time, it's like it's shifting my focus from it being about us to shifting it to being about something that's not even, my anger is going to something that's inanimate, that don't even, like, instead of me putting my anger on something that matters, I'm putting my anger on something that don't even matter no more. Like, it's just that. Like, that's all it is. It's not going to benefit my marriage.
So like redirecting your emotions.
Yeah, redirecting my anger to something, or my emotions, or to something that has no meaning at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Rather than directing it to you, that means
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah, and I feel like when frustration or anger or anything is in the midst of a conversation, I'm not saying there will never, but it will be very difficult to get to an agreement because emotions are taking over. So when we do put a pin in it, there's like, the biggest thing is like, look, we're emotional in this moment, and right now we're not able to effectively listen to our partner and
Right.
what they're feeling in this moment. Or I'm not able to effectively communicate how I feel because I don't know. So give me a second to go get my thoughts together. And then I could think about, what's the best way for me to express how I'm feeling to where you understand it, not to where it's like, you should know. And it's like, no, sometimes they just don't know. And sometimes they do know in other moments. And in this moment, they just don't.
Right.
But I feel like when you have a sense of peace and forgiveness continuously in your heart and the way that you approach life, it makes it so much easier to expound on how you feel.
What?
Get out.
I ain't never heard you say that.
Oh my gosh.
Expound.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
You're so
rubbing
funny.
off on you, girl.
You ain't never said that.
My grammatical skills is
Okay, anyway. I
You know how to
speak.
Your I learned how to speak and using big words is two different things.
know how to use big words. I know what
I
they
know
mean.
you do. I know you do.
What you trying to say? What's up?
You
You
know,
got pressure?
you ever
I
been to
did.
Zone 6?
She said, that's where I'm from.
Wow, you ever heard of Zone 6? But yeah, that's good. I think redirecting I feel like all of this still ties back into forgiveness.
For sure.
Everything ties back into forgiveness, because you have to be able and to forgive your person or whatever, the person that you're in conflict with. But you also have to forgive yourself. That's the biggest part.
And
That's
that's
part
the
of
one
it.
that
Like,
I feel like a lot of people neglect.
yeah.
Like, for a lot of my childhood, I held on to certain things or mistakes that I made because it was kind of like you see yourself going up and then you make a mistake and then you take a step back, or you feel the failure rubbing off onto your family or the people around you, and it kind of makes you feel like if I would never did this, then I would be. It's like a sense of regret.
Yeah.
And when you learn how to forgive yourself, it makes it easier to forgive other people. But until you're able, it's just like loving. If you know how to love yourself, then you know how to love other people.
Right.
But if you don't know how to love yourself, how are you going to say that you love somebody else? Because you can't even take care of the body or your temple that God is giving you to manage. And when it comes to forgiveness and forgiveness to yourself, it's the hardest because you have years long of unforgiveness to where it's like in situations where you make mistakes, there's something in the back of your mind that's keeping you in that place. And I got to that point of true forgiveness after I experienced, those suicidal thoughts, and God brought me out of that. It was just like, you know what? The enemy will not be able to use the same tactics to attack me anymore because I forgive myself, and where I am is where I'm supposed to be. And even if I was supposed to make a right and I made a left, God redirected that path to go down the path that he determined for me to go on anyway. And when I processed that, it made it so much easier for me to forgive myself for making mistakes when they happen, instead of holding on to all the mistakes. And then you get to a place to where all of that weighs on you, and now you're reflecting on this chapter, this chapter, this chapter. I messed up in this chapter. I messed up in this chapter. And you're looking back at all the mess ups, but you can't see what you did right.
Right. That is good, Stan. Yeah. Girl, I like when you talk that talk like you talk that talk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it still takes me, even to this day, sometimes I don't forgive myself for allowing myself to skip over things that I knew that I was not even like, skip over things that I knew I was supposed to like do, or skip over things that I know like would have furthered me in life or whatever the case. So I still kind of like, I'm still in the process of forgiving myself for those things, but it gets easier because it's like, well, life is going on. God is showing himself in other ways.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, okay, well, that I may have just prolonged something, but I forgive myself because I know that it's in his will. So it's going to happen as long as I walk completely in whatever he has for me, and be obedient in every season that, comes my way.
Yeah.
So you just got to express. Yes.
What?
I was about to sing express yourself, but I was going to try to mix it with forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. But yeah, so this is expressive forgiveness. Forgiveness is great for both parties.
Yeah.
For you and the person that you're in conflict with. And then just coming together on forgiveness is great because it's like, oh, it really wasn't that. I mean, it may have been that big, but it's like it wasn't big enough to where we can't be like, I forgive you.
Yeah. And then just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that they have to. They're going to forgive you the exact same moment.
Exactly.
And I think that that's one thing that a lot of people think. Like, if you are the doer that hurt someone or whatever the case may be, and you forgive their reaction, doesn't mean that they're going to be able to forgive you in the same time that you forgave them.
Right.
Because how they feel in the moment is different because you did it. So when you're on the opposite end, it's easy for you to be like, oh, I'm sorry, right? But it's like the person that had the action being done to them, it might take them a little bit to process what even happened and then go into forgiveness. But one thing that I've learned is not to hold on to things because it truly hardens your heart. And I know I said this before, but I just wanted to repeat that because I feel like a lot of people are walking around with hardened hearts, and that's why the world is the way that it is right now, because everybody's holding on to their past. And that saying, forgive but don't forget, Like when people say I can forgive you, but I'm not gonna forget. Like there's a part of you, like of course you're not gonna forget it, but when you make that statement, then basically what you're saying is, yeah, we're gonna move past this moment, but next time you do something, I'm gonna bring it back
you
up.
Still holding on to like some animosity.
Exactly, and it's not true forgiveness, but it's like for me and my experiences, when I truly forgave, honestly, I could see the person, and if I'm still thinking about it, that means I need to go back and reflect on my
we just
stuff.
had an instance of this earlier this week.
This week?
Mm-hmm. We was on TikTok.
Oh yeah, and reflect on myself, because it's like, hold on, check yourself, because at the end of the day, when you make that decision to forgive, you have to move forward after that. Like if you don't, then are you truly forgiven?
Right.
And your moving forward might not happen in a day, it might not happen in a week, but you have to keep taking one step at a time until you completely get out of it. And if you find yourself reverting back into that state, continue to pray for God to give you the heart posture to forgive truly, and just lay it at his feet and let it go.
Right. I had something I was gonna say, but I forgot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was good too.
It's okay.
It'll come back. Probably not on the podcast, but it'll come back.
It'll come back. We can talk about it.
Yeah. I think I just love like being able to just forgive people. But I think I love being forgiven even more.
Yeah. It feels different.
I think
Especially,
being forgiven has a whole new like meaning to it. It just feels like, ooh. Not like in a sense of like I messed up and I can like, you know,
I can do what I want.
Yeah, it ain't even like that. It's just more so like I said, humility, but also a sense of like you're literally like pride is gone.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you made a mistake and then the person that you made a mistake to forgave you. Like we went through that. And the person that you made a mistake to forgives you.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new flushing of like, wow.
Because it's kind of like they see a part of you that you don't see yet.
Right.
And that's one thing that I learned. Is like sometimes other people are able to identify versions of you that you don't know yet. And it's great and it's hard in a sense, because they hold you accountable to that version, but you don't know who that version is. So it's like, who do you think I am? Because I don't know why you view me the way that you do. And now there's a part of you that's craving to know
why?
what they know about you that you don't know.
Right.
But it all comes with growth, and a growth in character, truly. But no, we definitely experienced it, y'all. And I feel like it changes your life completely. You're going to experience moments, especially in a marriage, where you're going to have to forgive. And it doesn't even have to be like on the verge of being something so traumatic. Like it can be something so small.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how much pride takes over you until you are faced with those moments. But at the end of the day, you have to sit and reevaluate who you are in that moment. Mm-hmm. So if you decide not to forgive, just know that you are going to be held accountable for your unforgiveness, not the other person. Because if they forgave you, it has nothing at this point. That's on you.
You just brought it back. See how God be working. Like, it's not your job. Like once you forgive yourself, it's and you express that you are sincerely apologetic to the person that you mistaken, it's not your job to seek their forgiveness no more. Because it's not your job to seek the forgiveness that you want from them.
Right.
Like you have to let that go. Like and then even if you forgive yourself, the season of them forgiving you is going to go by so much faster, because you're not holding on to the mistakes that you made towards that person, because you forgave yourself. And I feel like that's kind of like what you said. Like you have to forgive. But that's a sense of pride. Forgiving yourself I think it's harder than forgiving others, because to forgive yourself is like it's self-inducing forgiveness. Like, and you have to come to terms with mistakes that you made, and you have to really be like, dang, I messed up. Like I sincerely messed that up. And it's like, how many times have I actually did the same thing to other people and I messed this up? I have to change. Yeah. Like I have to walk in a different direction, a different light. And that self-inducing forgiveness is like so overwhelming, because it's so like refreshing to know that, oh, I am now I'm on the path of becoming a new person. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's just easy to forgive yourself. I mean, it's not easy. I think it's just good to forgive yourself in the midst of waiting for others to come to terms with forgiving you. So
That's good. That's good. Y'all, we are on, what's this, 4, right?
yeah, 4.
This is episode 4. We've talked about a lot so far. If you guys are enjoying this podcast, please communicate with us. Yeah? Because a lot of times when we do this, I mean, obviously we started this because that's what God told us to do. But it was more so to help our communication. And now you guys are experiencing that. And it's truly helped us
Definitely
talk to each other more because, you know, in your regular life, you go about doing things according to your schedule. And to sit down and really have these moments to reflect on the week or on certain topics that we experience throughout the week, it makes it a lot easier for us to communicate on a regular basis. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys in the comments.
Yes.
If you have anything that you would like us to talk about specifically, please leave a comment down below. Because one thing that we want to do now is to serve and truly serve, with our testimony being our way of expressing our experiences. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of times you experience things and you hold it to yourself.
Yeah.
But the best thing that you can do when you've experienced things in life is give it to other people, because there's somebody that is either been in the situation that you're in now or has been where you used to be, and you can either get knowledge from the person that's ahead or give knowledge to the person that's where you used to be. And that's where we are right now, you guys. So we're just spreading awareness, love, and just giving honor to God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for forgiving me.
Oh, of course.
And not just for everyday things, you know, just life.
Like pushing me off the. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop.
See, you didn't forgive. Let that pride drop.
Drop.
Nah, but I love you.
I love you.
You're amazing. Pocket, come here.
Oh, don't tell him to come on the couch.
Don't come on the couch, though.
Look at the camera.
Look.
Look.
Something to say.
Not smelling the mic. Back up.
Oh, shoot. He said that's what I had to say.
All right, guys. He did really good today.
Go over there. He said, but
sit.
you just called me over here.
Go sit.
Go.
Go over there. Good job.
Yeah.
Good boy. Sit.
Sit. Thank you. All right, y'all. We done.
And that's episode 4.
That's episode 4 for y'all. So we love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please forgive somebody if you haven't forgiven somebody today, or start that journey to forgive them. But in the midst of, forgiving them, forgive yourself for, holding on to that pride, holding on to whatever it is. Just give it to God, man. And then the person, if you are seeking forgiveness for somebody, forgive yourself first, and then give it to God. Learn from the mistakes that you made. Not saying you won't make mistakes, but just learn from it. Take it with a grain of salt, take it day by day, and just remember to always, put God first in everything that you do.
Yeah.
All right. We love you guys. See you guys on the next one. Peace.